very good morning to all of you, and I'm glad that we have enough people in the morning to hear. I was just wondering 9 o'clock would be too early for people to be here, but thank you, and I'm sure I'm the odd person out, and I'm sure it's in a odd person out in the sense I know everybody is at the moment talking on surrogacy in a very manner which may not be very conducive. But I'm one person who's been practicing surrogacy, and I probably can give you a clear picture on what is really happening on the ground. Thank you for inviting me here first, and respected panelists and chair and all the audience. I'll just start my talk on some of the topics that I thought may be important, although the law part you will deal much better. Somebody should send. Okay. This is a new system for me, so I'll take a little while. Okay. Well, that's me. I'm I have a center here in Delhi, and I'm also doing the IVFs of Nepal, the government of Nepal's IVF, and we are soon starting a surrogacy program in Nepal also. So Nepal government is also coming up with the same challenges that the Indian government is facing at the moment. And we have a center in Jaipur, and we have one center in Ghaziabad. So that's okay. All right. So coming to the topic. Well, this is how a doctor is looked at when somebody is delivering. So many fingers pointing, including the cat. So anything that happens is going to be the doctor's responsibility. Now, what are medical legal, what is ethics really as far as doctors are concerned? As we say, scope of practice, how do we define that? This is most commonly defined as an act or behavior towards another individual in a certain definable way, regardless of the activity involved, so that you are concerned about the safety and the welfare of others. In this case, we don't have only one woman that is a surrogate. We also have another woman that is the intended mother to be considered, and we also have the baby. So we have three people that we are really bothered about. What about the standard of care? It's a written accepted level of emergency care expected by legal or doctors so that patients are not exposed to unreasonable risk of harm. So this is what is the standard of care expected. Negligence, we all know, is when a trained person deviates from the accepted standard of care that will result in injury to the patient. And abandonment is a unilateral termination of care by the doctor without the patient's consent and without making any provisions for continuing care. Consent, we all understand, is granting permission to render care. Okay, express consent is a type of consent in which the patient expressly authorizes you to provide care or transport, and indirect, I think these are words which you are much more familiar. What is ethics? Ethics are related to moral actions, conduct, motive, or character. These are related to what a professional will provide what he thinks right. So treating a patient ethically means doing it in a manner that conforms to the professional standard of conduct. Caring for all patients with a sense of excellence, improving performance with hands-on experience, and honest reporting is the most important. Confidentiality is very important between the doctor and the patient, and everything is confidential, cannot be disclosed without permission from the patient or a court order. Records and reports are important. Now, let us start with ethical issues regarding donor insemination. What is the emotional turmoil of a father, the emotional turmoil a child faces, a mother faces? Lack of, is it true? There is lack of, is there a lack of parental bonding between the children of donor parents? Legal issues regarding property rights, possibility of genetic disorders being transmitted to donor, and use of unauthorized donor insemination. Issues regarding surrogacy, whether joy of motherhood is taken away or not, then the risk of fetal well-being due to surrogacy, and bioethical dilemmas in commercial surrogacy. So these are the issues that we are really going to talk on and think on. Well, emotional bonding between the mother and the child. Is it only the mother who gives birth who has bonding, or is it possible that a mother who gives birth does not emotionally bond, but the mother who takes the baby has emotional bonding. Well, it is a new modern family, and social and cultural attitudes to any new innovation or intervention is largely shaped by what is considered the norm. So the norm is a heterosexual couple giving birth to a child, a family that is a normal family. But the cycle of resistance followed by acceptability was similar to IVF when it started in 1970s and oocyte donation in 80s. The first Indian IVF baby, Durga, and the IVF specialist, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, committed suicide because at that time it was not accepted and it was not the norm. It was unheard of that you could procreate outside the body into a test tube and still have your own baby. So things were never accepted when they start, but when they catch up, it is only then that this resistance gives way. Similarly, donation. It was never accepted, oocyte or sperm donation both. Now, what is happening is, it is not the intended parent and it is not the doctors, it's not the surrogates, but they are experts everywhere. Lawmakers, bureaucrats, ministers, politicians, everybody is fighting for ownership and for the right to define what is right in the public. And there is an acceptance of a new modern family. Parenthood norms have been redefined. With the acceptance of homosexuality and homosexual marriages also in the world. I remember a homosexual couple walking into my clinic about 4 years back, and my own cultural background, actually I looked at, I was not really comfortable, let me say. But 3 years down the line, and after having looked at innumerable homosexual couples and given babies to them when the law allowed us at that time, let me tell you, they made beautiful parents. You cannot imagine, I could not imagine. I handed over a 950-gram twin babies, twin girls to a homosexual couple, and I was so scared myself that what will happen? These two men, how will they really bother? How will they take care of these babies? But believe me, in about 6 weeks' time, they came back and both the babies were 2.2 kgs, very well looked after. And this, I'm not talking of one single couple. I'm talking of numerous couples that we looked at that time. And at that time, my own mind changed in some manner. And I thought, maybe the world is changing. We have to look at things in a different manner. When homosexuality at that time, or let me even tell you about single women and single men. Now, it's not that we are trying to change society, but the society is changing itself. There was a woman who was about 37. She walked in with her parents, her brother and her parents, and they said, "Madam, it's high time. She is not willing to get married. It's all right, but we want her to become a parent." How many do you think Indian families are now coming up like that? I have at least 12 Indian single men wanting to become parents because of whatever reason. I'm not here and I'm not judgmental to the changing social norms, but this is what is happening. So I'm not only talking of an international scenario, I'm talking of an Indian scenario. So all this is happening. Our law has, of course, allowed single men and single women Indian to go on, but at the moment internationally, the law has stopped looking at either single or homosexuals. So that story is there at the moment, what the regulation bill will come out, we'll see as the time goes on. But this is a new modern family emerging. What will be, and studies are going on, it's not too long, how these families will really come up, but whatever has come up till now, that has not been negative. In any general population, you can see this is baby Gammy, and she is so much in the news because of an Australian couple who come to Thailand to do surrogacy, and they had twin babies. One baby had Down syndrome, one was a normal baby. So it seems they carried the normal baby but left the Down's baby behind for the surrogate to tend. There is some news that in the beginning it was diagnosed that the baby is not normal, and it was prudent at that time that they could have done something, but the surrogate refused to abort the baby, and and probably the doctor they said the baby is not going to survive anyway, and that is how. But anyway, the confusion is there. In any general population, survey on surrogacy is heavily influenced by the prevailing negative cases portrayed in the media. Media is very easy to portray negative cases, and public is really easy to lap it up. Anyway, let me just tell you that infertile couples choose third party after considerable amount of thinking about how such a family will work for them. Nobody, let me tell you, I have been in this practice for the last 20 years now, and I have not seen a single woman coming up for a social reason for surrogacy, including models, celebrities, film stars. If Aishwarya Rai is decided to have her own baby, that means there is this myth that surrogacy is being exploited for the purpose of body reasons. I don't think it's true. I'm not saying there will not be one odd case out here and there, but this is not the norm. And that is what is most important. Nobody takes to surrogacy or to third party without giving a lot of thought, without giving a lot of futuristic approach to what will happen, and people only come after they have failed in a number of ways to have their own babies. As far as our medical legal for donor, because that is another very important part when any, let me tell you another thing what will happen is artificial insemination donor, semen. Most of the time the mother-in-laws and the father-in-laws will walk up and say, this son is azoospermic. There is not a single sperm in his semen, but can you use my other son? Every single parent thinks like that, and they would come up and say, घर का घर में रह जाएगा, तो आप please इसका नहीं, आप बाहर का मत लीजिए, but आप इस वाले का ले लीजिए. Now that is something that requires a lot of counseling and telling them that what is not allowed by law and what is not going to be right, I feel, even ethically. Now, because for me, it is not important what the parents are thinking, but for me, the future of that single baby is the most important. I don't want a confused baby in the world who does not know whether it is this father or whatever. So, anonymity of donation is the most important factor, and that is where the legal law has come up. If a married woman takes the consent of her husband to take semen, that means it is not adultery, that's what law says. And without the consent of husband is a point for divorce. Secondly, child conceived through donor is an absolutely legitimate child of the parents and will enjoy all the privileges that go with it. And conception of a wife, if she has, you see, if the husband is impotent but is able to produce a semen sample and the wife is inseminated, this is again a legal child, but she can still ask for divorce, and it is non-consummation of marriage. So these are the laws which which have been made after a lot of consideration. Children born through the use of donor gametes and their adopted parents have the right to medical or genetic information of the donor, but they cannot have, they do not have any right to know the identity of the genetic parents. Now, what are the issues faced by us as doctors? Sometimes surrogacy is not only looked at the issues faced for me, for example, as a doctor is when a surrogate comes to us and she says she has 1 or 2 children and she had undergone surrogacy under the center, there is no way of tracking the actual number of surrogates children. So I am also bothered at that time, and I think how to tackle. You can put surveillance on it, but if somebody says she has 2 children or 3 children, 3 गाँव में हैं, 2 यहाँ हैं, लड़के गिने की लड़की गिने, but whatever. But it is difficult to track the actual number of surrogate children. Another thing is insurance. Everybody wants, including us doctors, want the surrogates to be insured. We also want. We are also looking at a very bright future for surrogates. I have started a surrogacy welfare trust in which I have named it Upkar, and I always tell the parents when I am counseling them and telling them, ये आपके ऊपर उपकार कर रही है. By giving you a child, you are commercially compensating. That's a different thing. But ये आपके ऊपर उपकार कर रही है, and by one good deed, she should be compensated for life. So I make them adopt the child, the girl child, especially if it is there, of the surrogate, so that they look after her education and well-being. But to get the surrogate insured, no insurance company is willing to take one. It is difficult to insure pregnant women, and surrogates last. So I would really like somebody to come up with how to get these women insured so that they are very well protected. The other thing is, of course, all parents want the surrogates to stay in the surrogacy home, but we are also bothered on that because I don't want to detach her from her own children. And therefore, we have come up in a some what should I say, a mid manner in which we tell them at critical periods we make her stay in the surrogacy home, but most of the time she's at her own home with her own children, very tightly coordinated by our coordinators who check them every single day and look at if there's any problem, and or if she's working, if she's resting enough, her nutrition, all her needs are well looked after. But I do not really like to accept the critical periods in the beginning of, when she's just settled the pregnancy. Then in the mid-trimester, around 25 weeks of pregnancy, when you don't want her to abort midway. And in the end, 3 weeks of the last. So their surrogates are also willing if those critical periods are looked after, but they are not awake all the time. Difficult to find the addresses and the permanent, most of the surrogates are not carrying, it's difficult to really look at the identity in a totality, so it is important, especially when they are going to get visas for their babies who are going out. Counseling, counseling and counseling. Now this is the dictum on which the whole program stays. You are not only counseling the surrogate, a husband, a family, but you are also counseling the intended parents. And so as far as it is important that the surrogate 100% knows that she is to relinquish the baby, there has to be a 100% acceptance by the intended parents. So counseling, and really good counseling, is the most important. Counseling and evaluation. So you keep counseling and you keep evaluating. There has to be informed consent. She understands the whole procedure. The husband understands. The children understand. And the intended parents also understand. And they 100% accept the baby. There is not a 99.9%. So to see that, counseling holds a big key into the whole process. Well, there are myths that surrogates get attached emotionally. No. Ask me. I've been delivering so many surrogates now. They go through, they know because they've been counseled that this is not their baby, that they are carriers of those babies. And let me tell you, instead of feeling traumatized, they are actually happy and empowered by the surrogacy experience. And they come back again, because they are happy. Nobody comes back if they are not happy with an experience. A study of 120 surrogates conducted by our own center found that it does not have a negative impact on the surrogate's own children. And I have never had a single case where the surrogate had difficulty relinquishing the child. I'm not saying media, when you are doing 2,000 or 20,000 or 2 lakh cases, one odd case here and there would come up, which has to be dealt in a legal manner, but this is not the norm. So the norm is they are very easy. As soon as the baby is born, the parents are already, most of the time, in my case, I'm doing about 80% normal delivery of the surrogates and only 20% are elective sections. But approximate to the term date, we tell the parents to be around so that whenever the baby is born, it is directly handed over to the parents. There is nothing that you cannot show the baby to the surrogate if she wants. And if allowed, we let her see the baby, we let her handle the baby, but they're never allowed to breastfeed because I believe breastfeeding is through from here. Now, only as you know, after delivery, only when the baby is put to breast, the hormones start secreting from the hypothalamus pituitary into the breast, and that's how your love and emotion goes through. So even if the parents are willing to pay crores of rupees for breastfeeding, because that's how, especially international parents come up and would like the baby to be breastfed for the first 3 months or so, but you see, that is where we put a stop and we say, no, that is that. Okay, now what are the recommendations? What I would like is a central database registration of surrogates for real information of their address, number of children, so that when I take up a surrogate for a program, I can only check from the central registry and know what has been, has she had surrogacy before? It is difficult to make out looking at bodies, how many times they've undergone the process, but if we have a central database where we can check before taking them, that would really ease a lot of pressure from us. Only licensed clinics to undertake surrogacy, and it should be considered. Yes, now this is important. When it is physically impossible or highly undesirable for medical reasons for the commissioning mother to carry the child. Now it is important. I know of parents who have undergone 5, 6, 7, 12 IVF cycles, not worked. Do you think it is their destiny that they should not become mothers or should not become parents? I have number of cases in which the women are born without uterus. They have ovaries, they have the genetic material, but what is called an MRKH syndrome, they have no uterus. Is it their destiny again to be without parents, not to become parents? There are women who have undergone hysterectomy for cancer, for so many other reasons. Tuberculosis is such a rampant disease in India. Every third, fourth person has tuberculosis. It damages your uterus absolutely forever. Do you think it is inevitable for them not to become parents? These cases, of course, genuinely require. But for reasons others who have tried every single thing which is available medically and yet not worked. If this science has come up, it's come up in a way that is transforming lives for so many parents. It should be regulated. I am absolutely for it. We have to find regulation, and regulation which will be for all. Now the intended parents are legally bound to accept the custody of the child or children irrespective of the abnormality if it is not detected. You see, if any abnormality, and that goes for a normal single parent, not for its surrogacy alone. If you detect that there is an abnormality in the first trimester itself, that is ground for abortion. And if the intended parent at that time want to abort, or the surrogate also, it is in conjunction with everybody. As far as payments are concerned, there again are financials involved, and you can, the financial are made up in a manner that if the pregnancy goes till first trimester, it's paid up to that. If it is second, if it is full. If she goes beyond 27, 28 weeks, it is considered a full pregnancy, whether it's live, so she's paid full. So there are so many things to be considered. Then looking after the surrogate post-pregnancy. It is important that for at least 3 months she is looked after. The Indian government is in the process, of course, of making a law, and public awareness on the resources available for treatment should increase. I think it is important that people understand that today there is a way of becoming parent, and people should come out. I feel people should come out and take use of this technology. Doctor-patient relationship, of course, should be improving, and medical practitioners should have high ethical moral values and should never advertise. Well, this is a new hope to the infertile couples. Our goal is to minimize suffering and exploitation, make the process as fair and as safe as possible. Ultimately, now it is important, the creation of life. My bringing the baby is meaningless unless you also strive to respect the living. So it is important that I look after the surrogate mother and the intended mother also. That is what I would say. Thank you.
Respected Chairperson Dr. Rita, Dr. Anju, Dr. Suri, and the very enlightened gathering here. A very important subject, because something life is trying to give life to others. Thank you. Now, if you look at the entire medical profession and the medical education, there are so many rules, regulations which monitor the medical education and the conduct of the doctor. But this particular issue of surrogation is totally missing in the medical conduct of the doctor. That means to say, it's a very, very fresh subject, and lots of congratulations to the law university to have taken up this topic, because it needs to be looked at from all the dimensions. This country has been probably has a distinction of making laws but not implementing laws. Because however best the law is made, but its challenges are implementation, because implementation is based on the social structure of the whole country and the concern from the beneficiary point of view. You take the example of organ transplant. You have heard lots of things about the kidney racket and things like that. In fact, at this point of time, I should mention I am from Mysore, and I was a victim of this kidney transplant. It so happened that there was a couple. I met them in a bus stand, and the guy was weeping with an X-ray. I had just shifted after doing my MD from Ames to Mysore. I still remember it was a Sunday, and the bus has to take another half an hour to carry the bus. I asked, "Why are you crying?" He said, "See, I have a something heart disease, and the doctor has told it requires 1 lakh rupees. I am a cook, I don't have money, and he says the disease is risky." When I saw the X-ray, you know, the pipe above the heart is the aorta. It has become 4 times the size of the heart. That is called as aneurysm. And it has ballooned up. And because of that thinning, you can feel the heart rate on the back better than on the front. The whole bone, backbone is completely. That X-ray will feed me if I give it somewhere to some institution. I may fetch lots of money. I went to this guy and I told him, "Where is the doctor?" He said, "Just very near." So I thought I have half an hour. I took this fellows there and I asked the doctor, "What is this disease?" And they said, "We require 1 lakh of rupees for treating the aneurysm." But the guy is a cook. He's got a small child. Then I told the doctor that, "See, I would like to sponsor this particular patient because recently my father died and in his name I want to do some good activity." The doctor said that we can come down to the cost of about 25,000. From 1 lakh he has come down to 25,000 only the cost. So then I told the patient that you should give 5,000 at least. If you give everything free to the patient doesn't realize the importance of it. So I told this patient, "You go and get 5,000. The rest of the things we will give it." The patient went to one place called as Chamraj Nagar, very near to the Veerappan's place, who is known for the sandalwood. So patient brought this 5,000 rupees. Now, how did this quickly she got 5,000 rupees? She has mortgaged the house. A thought came suddenly, suppose this patient is a heart disease, something happened, the house is gone. So I told this guy, no, you get back the money. Just mortgaging the house. But they refused. Then I had to take the police help to get this 5,000 rupees, that house back, which is mortgaged. We got the somehow managed surgery done. That was an aneurysm corrected. After 7 days he was to be discharged. But then he developed some infection. And then he died. He died in a government hospital where heart surgeries are done. The patient and the patient's person came to the hospital and told me that this has died. I told this lady, "Don't worry, whatever has happened, you try to do the best. You wanted to save the patient. I will take care of this girl's education till whatever level you want." And I offered this lady that if you are in the community, marriage is there, it can be done. I remember there was one male person along with that. That male person was actually the brother of the deceased. Next day, there is a headlines. Dr. Prasann Raj has removed the kidney of the patient. It was at about 12 o'clock. One person from Chamaraj Nagar, he calls me. Now, at that time there was a kidney racket, sensational thing was going on by media. So they tried to do that. Then I went and met one of the media, very good person. He said, doctor, like you have good doctors and bad doctors. In media also we have good media people and bad media people. Wherever when you say something is good is there, it is implied that bad is there. So first thing I did was, I made my records very clear that the patient, when it was taken by the government hospital, he had 2 kidneys, and when he came out, it is the responsibility of the hospital. So first thing, I did not become sensational, I did not go into the press, and I got the records done and all. This will demotivate for social, anyone in my place would have got demotivated for doing anything good. I became stronger. I became stronger in social commitments and social service. What was required was, when the patient had come to me, I should get in writing from him that he needs a help and he is seeking some help. Just because of one incident, I did not put down myself. What I am trying to say is, this particular sensational thing, why I am talking about is, now the surrogation is a very raw subject. Let us all try to understand every step, what is surrogation, what is the best practical, feasible law that can be put into. Recently, I was looking after investigating a case where a lady with the right side kidney damage went to a doctor in UP. The doctor puts an incision on the right side, but removes the kidney from the left. The normal kidney is not down. Now, the patient was not told about what is this and everything. Patient's urine stopped, and that's how the patient comes to know. And the doctor doesn't even bother to tell that this has happened. Patient had to, ultimately after 2.5 years, patient died. So looking at these issues which are having a multiple activity, it requires an expertise of a doctor. It requires a social concern of the doctor. It requires the knowledge of the patient. It requires the knowledge and counseling of the surrogate person. Now this is a very, very important issue that you said you cannot breastfeed the child. This is a very, very important issue. I think we should have a legislation wherein we should permit, because the child, first is, it is a surrogate child, or child which is a product of the surrogate mother. Why are you denying the great life, the God gift of breastfeeding? Now these are the issues, multiple issues are there in this, because I feel we should try to dissect all these steps, and at every step we try to make the what would be the most feasible, what would be the most ideal, what would be the most feasible, and what would be the most practicable. So 3 grades of at every step, and then evolve it. We should not hurry to make a legislation. Rather, legislation should be the last one. Before that, we should raise the whole public issue and the social concern about this particular surrogation. Probably it is confined, this whole surrogation is confined with the doctors. We doctors have a habit of finding a solution. probably with good intention. But with the changing society, with the changing cost of medical care, there are lots of cost issues that are involved. So it's very important that it should not go into another kidney racket, which is very potential to go into a racket. Because today the doctor has come to a very vital scanner of his activity right from at every step. It could be diagnosis, it could be advice, it could be investigation, it could be treatment of drugs, it could be sponsoring some drugs and all those type of things. I think making a law is different from implementing. We should create love for following a law. There should be love to follow a law. Then only we can say that the law what we have made is going to be implemented. That can be made before we make the legislation. All the stakeholders have to be brought into a platform. And what is the commonality that is acceptable to all so that it is implemented. I thank the esteemed university for having invited me for such a discussion. I would request that we should all sit down and have an open discussion. And I would be very happy if there are some questions which are there. And I thank my colleagues for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.